Welcome to our deep dive on the paradox of unauthorized immigration, what we'll call the golden cage. First, we'll set the context and outline our goals. Then, we'll explore the emotional toll, the legal framework, the economic pressures, and the broader social debate. Finally, we'll consider balanced ways to navigate the contradictions and summarize key takeaways. Here is our agenda. First, we establish context and define the golden cage paradox. Next, we examine emotional realities before shifting to the legal framework. Then, we analyze economic and social pressures, compare major arguments, and discuss policy ideas. After that, we test your understanding with quizzes and conclude with key takeaways. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. This content is educational and does not constitute legal advice. Laws and policies change, and individual circumstances vary widely. Therefore, if you need guidance tailored to your situation, consult a qualified immigration attorney. With that said, let's transition into the context and aims of this video. Our aim is to examine the paradox facing those living without authorization. Financial or safety gains exist, yet daily life can feel confined by fear and uncertainty. We will integrate emotional, legal, economic, and social lenses, while striving for a balanced, nuanced perspective. Now that our aims are clear, let's define the golden cage paradox itself. The golden cage describes a life where economic opportunity is real, but constrained by fear, limited mobility, and legal uncertainty. Individuals may work hard, send remittances, and improve material conditions. Yet, their daily choices are shaped by the risk of detection and deportation. Families often avoid interaction with authorities, limit travel, and remain in the shadows. Children frequently assimilate quickly through school and language, which can widen cultural gaps with parents, who may grieve the loss of heritage and feel misunderstood. This tension, prosperity alongside confinement, is the essence of the paradox. Now let's look closer at the emotional toll. Emotionally, many families operate in a state of heightened vigilance. Parents may fear leaving the house for work, worried about interactions that could trigger detention. Children may internalize fears about family separation, and households limit normal social participation to reduce risk. Over time, chronic stress manifests as anxiety, hypervigilance, and isolation. Meanwhile, children often adopt the host country's language and norms swiftly, which can lead to cultural drift and even denial of roots, creating tension and misunderstanding within the family. Having explored these human dimensions, we now transition to the legal structure governing status. This flowchart starts at arrival and splits into entry with inspection versus without inspection. If a person enters with inspection, maintaining status, such as by renewing or following visa conditions, generally keeps them in lawful status. Overstaying or violating terms leads to being out of status, introducing removal risk. For those who enter without inspection, the default is no status and limited options. Across both scenarios, certain forms of relief may exist, such as asylum or protection under the Convention Against Torture, family or employer sponsorship when eligible, cancellation of removal under strict criteria, or temporary programs like DACA for limited groups. Ultimately, the law established by Congress determines eligibility and outcomes, leading either to granted status or continued removability. With this legal map in mind, let's discuss the core legal principles more directly. The legal framework is defined by statutes enacted by Congress and implemented by federal agencies and courts. In practice, status is often treated as binary. One is either in status or out of status. Unlawful entry or overstaying a visa is a violation of federal law and carries the inherent risk of removal. There are relief mechanisms, but they are limited, complex, and difficult to obtain. A common viewpoint holds that individuals should follow established legal pathways, or alternatively consider returning to the country of origin. With the legal basics covered, we now turn to the broader economic and social impacts. Economically and socially, large inflows can pressure municipal budgets and infrastructure. Contributions include essential labor across sectors, widespread payment of sales taxes, and in some cases payroll taxes through ITINs. On the cost side, local governments may need to fund shelter, emergency medical access, K-12 enrollment, language services, and legal processing. Infrastructure strain can appear as crowded schools, longer emergency room wait times, housing shortages, and increased transit load. Funding responsibilities vary across federal, state, and local levels, and the time horizon matters. Short-term costs may differ from long-term integration outcomes. Next, Let's visualize budget pressure at a glance. This pie chart is illustrative. During a surge, municipalities may reallocate funds towards shelter and housing for new arrivals, healthcare and emergency services, school enrollment and language support, and legal or processing needs. These shifts can come at the expense of existing social programs that serve long-time residents. The visualization highlights why budget constraints become a focal point in public debates. Now, let's compare the major arguments often heard in the policy conversation. On the left, enforcement-first arguments emphasize sovereignty, the rule of law, and deterrence to manage future inflows. Advocates stress protecting finite resources for legal residents and prioritizing use of lawful channels. On the right, reform and integration arguments center human dignity, recognize economic contributions, and call for streamlined legal pathways and faster adjudication. They also highlight the need for humanitarian safeguards and support for local governments. Both sides seek order and fairness, but they prioritize different instruments to achieve them. With perspectives contrasted, let's discuss practical ideas that can reconcile these tensions. To navigate contradictions, several policy directions emerge. First, clarify status categories and eligibility criteria in accessible language. Second, accelerate adjudication and reduce backlogs through staffing and technology. Third, pair work authorization verification with robust labor protections to prevent exploitation and unfair competition. Fourth, maintain humanitarian safeguards that protect family unity, due process, and child welfare. Fifth, stabilize local budgets with predictable federal support during surges. Sixth, consider conditional pathways that tie eligibility to background checks, tax compliance, and civics education. Having explored solutions, let's check understanding with a quick quiz. Question: which phrase best captures the paradox many unauthorized immigrants face? Options are A. Open highway, B. Golden cage, C. Glass ceiling, and D. Safety net. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is B. Golden cage. The metaphor encapsulates the coexistence of material opportunity and the constraints of fear, limited mobility, and legal precarity. Now let's move to a second quick question about the legal framework. Question: in the United States, who primarily sets the statutory framework for immigration law? Options are A. City councils, B. State legislatures, C. Congress, and D. International courts. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is C. Congress. Federal immigration statutes are enacted by Congress, with implementation by federal agencies and oversight by the courts. With the legal anchor reaffirmed, we will now distill key takeaways. Here are the key takeaways. First, the golden cage captures the tension between opportunity and constraint. Second, immigration status is often treated as a binary legal condition, either in status or out. Third, large inflows can strain local budgets and services. Fourth, most people seek stability, safety, and economic contribution. Fifth, balanced solutions aim to pair order and legality with human dignity and practical support. Next, we will provide a concise summary to wrap up our discussion. In summary, the American dream continues to attract people seeking safety and opportunity, yet legal precarity can confine them in significant ways. The emotional costs, including stress, identity shifts, and family strain, are real. Statutory law defines boundaries and provides limited, complex avenues for relief. Economically and socially, impacts differ across jurisdictions and over time. The path forward likely lies in nuanced reforms that balance sovereignty, fairness, and humanity. Before we close, thank you for exploring this topic with care and curiosity. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you think more clearly, please like, share, and subscribe. We also invite you to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments so we can learn together. Until next time, take care and stay informed.